Okay, hey, good morning. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Kim Allen, and I teach a business management class and fashion marketing class at Temple City High School. Usually, we have speakers come into the class. It's a great opportunity for my kids to hear about entrepreneurship, about real life experiences and employment paths. And they really tell me over and over how much they enjoy hearing these stories and how much they get out of it. Today, we have Timothy Moore. He's a financial consultant, and he's going to share with us about his education and career path. And then we'll save some time for student questions at the end. And we do this every Tuesday and Thursday. So thanks for
Awesome.
watching.
Awesome.
All right, Tim, what do you think? Tell us
Sounds
first.
good.
Tell
All
us.
right. Hey, so anyway, going back to first jobs, before Taco Bell and their Wiener Schnitzel, there was a Pup and Taco in Los Angeles and all around the country, and so that's where when I was in high school I had my first job, Pup and Taco, and so I made tacos and burgers in a format very similar to what's going on today at Taco Bell. In fact, many of the Taco Bell locations at one time were Pup and Taco locations. And so as I graduated high school, I went to college, I started working for Bank of America. And so I was a teller and a teller and a clerk and back in the 70s and 80s, and did all kind of things that we don't do in the banks today. And so that was kind of the launching my career path. And so as I was working in the bank, I met a lot of stockbrokers and financial consultants. And so even though I hadn't graduated college, I kind of knew, that's what I wanted to do. And it's funny, as I interviewed, the first thing they said is, this, financial consulting is not, this is a sales job. You have to get out and meet people and do this and do that. And we don't hire folks out of college, so go get some experience and come back and see us. And so my first real job after college is I sold photocopiers. And I had a territory and I did very well, and I was one of the country's best photocopier salesmen, all with a long-term goal of working on Wall Street. And so after a couple of years of being very successful, I went back to all those folks who said, no, 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 come back and see me. And I went and saw them, and ultimately I was hired. And so, that was a very monumental, point in my life, because it was something that I had really strived for. And the funny thing, I became a financial consultant, and math wasn't always my strong suit. And so if I could give you any guidance, sometimes to be successful you have to work on the things that you're not good at. If you're a basketball player and you're right-handed, you need to learn how to dribble to the left and score with your left hand. One of my favorite players is Wayne Gretzky, and he's a hockey player. And years ago, someone asked him, how do you score so many goals? How is it that you always seem to be in the right place? And he said, it's really simple. While everybody is skating to where the puck is, I skate to where the puck is going to go. And so a lot of times in life, we focused on what's in front of us, but sometimes we have to, spread our horizons out or look with a wider vision to get where we want to go. And so over the years, I've had a business of managing money for other people, and it's been fun. There's been a lot of ups and downs, and I started, some 30 years later, they talk about the stock market crash of 1987, and that's exactly when I was starting. And so, all the big bosses says, well, you guys started at a great time. You have not lost anybody any money. And so that was short-lived, but for the most part, I've made clients a lot of money over the decades and decades. You have any questions for me, Kim, or keep going?
Well, what are you doing currently? And do you have some future goals? Because
Okay.
I don't know if we know when we're high schoolers, but apparently life does not end after 30.
That's right. Life doesn't end after 30. And so my wife and I bought a business 5 or 6 years ago. It was an Allstate agency. And so Allstate is of the major companies, there's State Farm, Geico, Progressive. Allstate is the only one that allows agents to buy and sell their businesses to third parties. And so that's what we have been doing over the last 5 years, and selling homeowner insurance and auto insurance and renters insurance. And even during this difficult time in pandemic, the state still requires drivers to have auto insurance. If you own a home, your lender wants to make sure that your home is insured. So if it burns down or something happens, that your home will be rebuilt. And because in essence, until you pay off that home, they own that home with you. So they want to make sure their interests are taken care of. Most recently, we sold that business, and so my future goals is spending more time on the money management side. And I started teaching financial literacy a couple of years ago, and what it comes down to is everything in America revolves around money and ownership. And in many ways, labor and laborers are kind of like a third wheel. And so just like, you go on a date with your boyfriend or your girlfriend, you don't want your baby sister, your cousin tagging along. And so unfortunately, in many aspects, labor is kind of a third wheel just in our economy. And so I started investment clubs. I do a lot of workshops about how we can do a better job of managing our money and growing our money. And so that's something that, we have a lot of I have a lot of educated friends with bachelor's degrees and master's degrees and doctorate degrees. But when it comes to financial literacy, it seems like everybody is struggling to get get a GE. So no one's graduated from financial literacy, and everybody, seems to be, trying to get their GED. And so that's what I'm excited about, and I plan on in the future helping people spreading this financial literacy message to the 401k and to the retirement planning community. How am I doing there, Kim?
Okay, sounds good. I think it's so crazy, like how you were able to start the the financial planning in 1987 when people were at their most, like, it was the most difficult, right?
It was. But one of the things that changed is the IRA and 401k were still relatively new in the 80s. They just had came around in the late 70s. And
Uh-huh.
so there was still excitement about getting an IRA started, or getting, helping people with 401ks. And so, back in the 80s, most of the monies that professionals managed was outside of retirement accounts, and there weren't any 529 accounts back then. And so even though the stock market had crashed, I had something to talk about, and people were interested. Companies were doing away with pensions, and
Mm.
401ks and IRAs were the new thing. And so it was even though it was a difficult time, it was an exciting time to begin in the business.
Mm.
Yes.
And I love what somebody said. You definitely didn't lose anybody any money at that time.
That's right, because I started right afterwards.
Right.
Yeah, but
So,
they just didn't tell me how difficult. People were scared, so they didn't tell me how difficult it would be. But I was able to persevere.
mm. And so do you have any advice to college students for managing money?
The basic advice is you can't spend all you make. And as my wife Sandra used to tell our son, if you don't spend all of your paycheck, they'll still give you another one in 2 weeks. So you don't have to spend it all to get another one. And that little by little, you want to try and save your money, invest your money. There are a lot of companies, Robinhood, Betterment. There are a lot of companies that are geared for helping people, just invest their spare change or $5 or $10, $20 without commission. So there's a lot of due to technology, there's a lot of opportunity today that wasn't in the past. In the past, investing was for rich folks, but today with technology, there's a lot going on to where you can invest just $1 here, $1 there, $10 here, $10 there, and so you don't need a ton of money to start investing. That's a good thing.
So, do you have any effective ways to network with people? How do you get people to remember you?
We used to, in the old days, we used to call it belly to belly selling, and we'd see people in person or talk to them on the phone, but nowadays so much is on social media. And so you have FaceTime and LinkedIn, and LinkedIn is a phenomenal tool where you do a lot of professional networking. So you have Facebook and Instagram for your personal and social things, and then you have LinkedIn, which is a great tool for professional networking. Of course, the Kardashians and have turned Instagram and YouTube, into big money. But sometimes, LinkedIn is a good place to start.
So, I had one really good question. Let me see here. Have you hired people?
Not many, but yes, once or twice. When Sandra and I owned the real estate agency,
Yeah.
we did interviewing and we hired a young lady to help us. And so that was, with a small business, when you hire people, they become like family. So we did the interviewing, and you find out someone's background, their experience, and you want to make sure that they're a good fit with your organization. Yes.
Okay. Here's another one. Here's some personal finance questions my class compiled when we were together, because at one time we were together. So they were asking, can you discuss just briefly, how to buy or sell stocks?
Okay. The first thing you have to do is you have to open a brokerage account. And so.
Oh, this is what I did with you just the other day.
Just what you did the other day. And so a lot of the younger investors are using Robinhood and Betterment, but the more established companies are Fidelity Investments, Charles Schwab, TD Ameritrade. And so investments are securities, and it's a very regulated industry. And so the first step is opening a brokerage account, and then you have to do a little research, or you take my wife Sandra. Sandra could eat at Chipotle 5 days a week and never get tired of it. And so Chipotle is a phenomenal business. And if you'd invested $100 in Chipotle, just a few years ago, it would be worth $700 or $800. And so one tip for investing is buy what you know. A lot of people, the kids individually, aren't Amazon Prime members, but I'm sure in your class there are a lot of kids that have Amazon Prime.
I think everybody on here is probably Amazon Prime.
There you go. So
99%
Amazon,
maybe, yeah.
Amazon is an expensive stock, but if you have a little money, that $1,000 invested in Amazon 10 years ago would have grown to over $30,000. And so that's a lot of money. And so, you have Target, Walmart, Costco, all those businesses are thriving that people, do business with on a regular basis.
Right. And So what do you think? One of our other questions was investing in real estate. What do you think?
Real estate is an awesome investment because it moves you away from renting. So when you're renting, you're helping some other owner with his investment. But when you own your own property, that's an excellent way to accumulate wealth in the future.
Hmm.
The only problem with real estate is you can't eat your house, and so real estate is always a source of funds. There's taxes and repairs, and so in California, as I was starting in the business, trying to get people to buy this stock or that stock, they said, I invested in real estate. I like to go around and see my properties. But real estate is so expensive. It's hard to own a lot of real estate, like you could in the 70s and 80s or 90s.
Mhm.
So you want to buy your home and live in your home, but just due to high cost of housing, once you own your home, I think to accumulate money and wealth in the future, the stock market is the best way to go.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Students are asking, what does your workday look like?
Well, I just turned 60, so it's a lot different than it was when I was 25 or 30 or 40. And so, but I get up, I follow the stock market, I make phone calls, and that just reminded me I was supposed to call a client and I forgot. So thank you for reminding me. And I, talk to people on the phone. And so it's not back, work is work, but it's not, back-breaking work, like I'm, laying tile or 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 putting on a roof or something like that. And this, it's great to earn a living talking on the phone.
That's a pretty cool attitude. That's very interesting. I think it depends your goals, right?
That's correct. That's correct.
Do you have something that you really love about your job, like a favorite, some favorite part of it?
The favorite part of it is that it doesn't take a long time to make money. So when you invest money, it's kind of like baking a cake. You bake a cake in an hour or two, you have a cake and a product that you can eat. But when you invest in Amazon or Apple, it doesn't take a long time where you can see the rewards of your investing. And so that's what I really, really enjoy.
That's interesting. Is there what training is required for your job, or if someone wanted to work in this field, what kind of training would you suggest?
Typically you need a college degree. Most of the big broker, Merrill Lynch, Charles Schwab, in many instances they train their employees, and they want they want good communication skills, good math skills, and they want people who are confident and that quote unquote self starter. So people who are motivated and don't need a lot of guidance or instructions, after they've learned the basics.
Mm.
Yeah.
Do you think people can learn and improve at these skills even if maybe they don't have them from the start too?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. You can, self-help is a $1 billion business in America.
Mhm.
From whether it's losing weight or changing careers, there are a lot of people who are in the business of helping you improve your life. And so
From that, connecting to that, are there any books you would recommend? Or related to finances, anything like that? What do you read?
I read the Wall Street Journal, and so the Wall Street Journal is kind of the read in finance. And so there's different many different sections. My favorite section is Heard on the Street, and they talk about the movers and shakers and what's going on in the industry.
What part of personal finance do you, so we don't actually include this in my class, but personal finance has become so important, and I think the kids value it so much.
Right.
What parts do you think would be most essential for students, high schoolers to learn?
I think that just the value of ownership, the
And you mean stock ownership?
stock ownership, and just ownership in general, just in the sense that, people my age, their parents were working after World War II. And so after World War II, you didn't need a college degree. Great jobs found, everyone
Right.
coming out of high school. And
Yeah.
so there was a post World War II boom, where with one income you could buy a house, get
Mhm.
married, have, kids, send them off to college, and life was good.
Yeah.
But what we've seen is just the value of all assets has really skyrocketed over the last 30 years, to the point where income alone sometimes isn't enough to allow you to buy and do the things that you want to do. And so owning stocks and investing is a great complement to your income.
Right.
In many instances, people are income limited.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So a student is asking, how hard is it to work with multiple clients at the same time?
It's not that hard, because everybody is an individual, and you over time, your clients, they kind of take on your personality. So if you're easygoing, you won't have too many clients who are real high strung and nervous Nellies.
Wow, that's an interesting perspective from thinking about sales. That's a really interesting observation.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's that old adage that people buy from people they like, and yeah,
Wow.
yeah. The financial service business is a more of a relation over time. It's more about relationship, and so it's a lot different than selling copiers to a business person, or you meet somebody, you develop interest in a product, and you sell it, and you move on. And so I've, have here we are in 2020, and I have clients going back to 1980s. And so
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't give you that book. The book that I'd recommend is called One Up on Wall Street, and the author is Peter Lynch. And so Peter Lynch was for a time the most famous money manager of mutual funds, and he worked for Fidelity. And his mutual fund was the Fidelity Magellan Fund. And the Fidelity Magellan just had a phenomenal 20 and 30-year track record. And so he wrote a book, One Up on Wall Street, that talked about investing in companies that you're familiar with,
Mm-hmm.
like Chipotle and Starbucks and
Mm.
Home Depot and Costco, and
And all the brands that the students are loving right now.
all the brands the students love. That's correct.
Mm.
Typically, they're public companies. The Gucci well, I'm 60, so I don't know all the brands.
Yeah, I was going to say that's definitely the brand they would love. I think Gucci and Louis Vuitton, they all like to buy the shoes and the belt and the wallet, but come on, like buy some of the company, right?
Absolutely. That's right. That's one of my themes. If you own the product, own the company.
One of the terms that is thrown around so much is passive income. I think a lot of us were led to believe that we can have this thing that where we don't do anything and we just make money. Is passive income a real thing?
It is real, but you have to start as soon as you get out of school. And so you can't wait till you're 50 and 60 and say, well, now's the time for me to start thinking about passive income. And so if you start on your journey of ownership and wealth creation, while you're in your 20s, you'll be ahead of the game. And then when you're ready for passive income, you'll be in great shape.
Mm, that's fantastic. Tim, where can people get a hold of you? Do you have social media or any info you want to share?
On Facebook, under Facebook groups, I have an investment club called More Money Stock Club, and so I'm available there.
Oh
And
yeah,
we
that's right.
we
That's our group.
we need some younger people in the investment club, and so students they can't join the investing partnerships, but we try and share a lot of knowledge on that site.
Oh yeah, I think most of my kids are going to be 18 in the next few months.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have a web page, www.401k-403b.com.
Okay.
And so the 401k is the predominant corporate saving plan, and then the 403b is what nonprofits have for a savings plan. And so that's www.401k-403b.com.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
You're
Tim,
welcome.
thank you so much. I feel like I'm learning more and I'm excited to be a part of your group too. Although I don't always, I think I really appreciate that you're trying to teach us because that's really where I am with all of this. So thank you.
Hey,
And
you're not alone.
yeah, I could tell by the group because everybody was asking similar questions or they would ask the question before I got to it for sure.
Yeah,
Thank you so
absolutely.
much for joining us today. And
Glad to.
yeah, thank you. And I hope you guys can tune in next week. We have a couple more speakers. And until then, bye.